just press play on Tangerine.
Oh shit,
It's
Joe.
Tangerine. Yeah.
Well, I got a Tangerine start. I
Okay, go
bought
on.
the Lego pirate ships. I gave
Okay, we
in.
got breaking Lego news.
Yeah, I reckon a new series, just Lego news. Tony has bought another Legos. Oh.
Tell us about the pirate ship. It wasn't as advertised. That is one thing
Yeah,
that doesn't
well,
stand as the
yeah,
pirate
okay.
ship.
So the history of it is that it's an ideas thing, right? Where people you can upload a CGI file of it, like an image of it. Either way, you can do that, and it's the one that was uploaded by the users far better, far more muted colors and a little bit more comprehensive than the one that the Lego team altered and and ultimately then sold and I bought. They've got a weird yellow rail around it, which I'm not a big fan of, and the sails are a bit weird, and it's just not. I think just the islands are not quite the same. It's just not quite as good, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, 'cause
It's
I'm
a
going to need
Barracuda
to see
Bay.
an image because
it,
I
it
can remember having pirate ships in my Lego set.
it comes from
What's
Right.
new?
do you know about Lego Ideas, Dave?
I think
Yeah.
we've had a conversation about it before.
Basically,
What do you?
anyone can submit their own ideas for a new Lego set, and this was one that was chosen.
Oh,
The original Lego idea was altered
yeah.
by the Lego company.
Well, it always gets altered when it comes to a production thing, and
Yeah.
the other thing that can happen is it can be denied. So you remember the Terry Pratchett turtle?
Yeah, the flat.
That's been denied.
Oh no.
They not get the
Yeah.
rights to Discworld.
I don't know what the problem was. They just said it wasn't up keeping with their brand. It's they gave some PR
Lego
shit.
don't
I have
believe
no
in
idea what they're
flat
saying.
Earth. They're globe heads.
Yeah,
So
I'm not sure what's going on there.
Do you want to talk about
let's talk
Firewatch?
about Firewatch. Tangerine.
Tangerine.
Dave, Tangerine, the original idea was me and Tawny would talk for 30 minminutes. I would just randomly start recording, and then I would get him to try and talk about a video game that I'd been playing.
Yeah.
So, let's
Firewatch.
This isn't the actual... Well, this is past the intro to Firewatch. Before I talk about Firewatch, I will say this game
Spoilers.
is a game that is better played knowing absolutely nothing about it.
Yeah.
This is your spoiler warning for Firewatch because, as I said in the Outer Wilds video, if you're interested in Firewatch, stop watching this video and go play it. It is not incredibly long in length. So even if you found you didn't enjoy it that much, you may still get a fun experience from Overwatch based on how much time investment you would have to put in the game. That being said, let's talk about what's going on right now. So, the game, I found the intro really weird because I wasn't sure if... I was really confused. I wasn't sure if the questions I was being asked were going to affect my playthrough of the game. Basically, the way the game starts is it introduces you into a relationship with a woman, and it asks you questions about what you do. So you might be brash with the woman, or you might want to... What is it? You want to... She wants to move to away to a university or something to be close to a university or something like that.
Yeah,
Right.
you have multiple choice. Well, just to answer questions that they don't affect the game at all. They just affect your mindset going into it.
And the voice lines,
If you
I
haven't
guess.
listened to the spoilers, I was expecting this game to have choices in it, and it turns out this game has very subtle choices to a point where I would say the game is pretty linear, which I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, no matter what choices you make, your experience is
'Cause
going to be nearly the
I
same.
came in after playing the Outer Wilds, and I loved in the Outer Wilds that you could just play through it however you wanted.
In any order, sort of thing.
Yeah, but I found this to be very linear. I was very confused at the beginning because I wasn't sure if it was a choices matter game. I wasn't sure if it was one of those games where it was like a dream, where it was going to turn out like I was just dreaming about all of this. At one point, the game almost goes off as it might be a secret horror game. After playing Firewatch, I was still wishing it kind of turned into a secret horror game.
That would be a cool.
The whole time, imagine the whole time Overwatch is. I'm calling it fucking Overwatch.
Yeah,
Firewatch.
you said that in the intro, and I didn't want to say anything. But speaking of your choices matters, do you know who Campo Santa are?
The guys who
I know like
PewDiePie and now work for Valve.
They are some of the original Telltale guys who did The Walking Dead.
Okay.
So there you go. That
more
will make
sense
sense
now.
to you now. So yeah, they wanted to get away from Telltale to make a more linear experience, basically.
Okay,
and
right.
I think they used story-driven focus is how they described it.
The PR way of saying it.
Yeah.
When the whole time I was playing, because there's like the first night when you see like the fireworks going off and it gets dark, there is that section where it's very creepy. There's a guy watching you, and there's even a point where you can pick up the poster for the camp ranger guy, and it's almost like a jump scare of like his face very quickly being in front of you, and it's like, oh, it would be really cool if I'd avoided all media about Firewatch for the past 5 years, and it somehow was a secret horror game. That would be fucking awesome.
That would be cool. That would be amazing.
But no, it's not, unfortunately. As well, because I feel like I get disappointed when games aren't secret horror games. Because there's that what was that game? Bugsnax. I wanted that to be a secret horror game. Yeah. It turns out it's just a normal Pokemon kind of game. It's not like an actual secret horror game. So, yeah.
Yeah, it just has a weird satire in it.
But it turns out, me being confused and like creeped out and not sure what's going on, that actually plays into the plot a lot. And that comes back later a lot. At the first, it starts out and you're just kind of investigating what's going on down by this camp. But then you start to notice like a strange figure watching you. Some teenagers go missing that you went and scared off by the lake. There's like some points you're like, oh, am I going to be attacked by a bear? But I would say the big mystery to Firewatch is, spoiler alert, that the game is very suspenseful because
it's about the intrigue.
It's about it causes tension without anything ever actually happening, which is why I think a lot of people were disappointed with Firewatch and the ending of Firewatch a lot. Also,
there's no payoff in a way.
Other than like reading the notes, I didn't really get much from these supply caches. I didn't feel like... I don't know how you feel about the supply caches, Dave. Like, did you go and...
on my second playthrough, I basically went round, got everything I could read.
Yeah.
Nice from Dave.
Yeah, he sent me a note.
Yeah, it's more about exploration, and the storyline is more intrigue. There is no substance to it, basically, what's actually happening. Like, there's this whole...
At one point, I was like, am I going insane? And it's like, well, that actually plays into the story sort of thing, where there's a guy like following you around trying to make you feel like you're going insane sort of thing. Because that's one of the ways I thought there might be a twist in this game, was that it would turn out like... Because throughout the game, something that's really weird is time just jumps randomly. And it's never explained from a like a story point of view why, you know, like sometimes 20 days just disappear. But I guess the idea is that...
Well, you only remember the eventful stuff, right?
Yeah. It's the other days are just like non-events.
But as you're playing,
not important to the story, so they don't matter.
From like a player's perspective, as you're like, oh, what's going on? There's a mystery in these wilderness. From your perspective, you're like, wait, I just lost 20 days. Am I like passing out? Like, what's going on, sort of thing. I think this is like the first part where it's like, what the hell's going on? Like you start going down these rocks and then...
Well, if you look at the rope, you can spot it's gonna happen, and like this startled me the first time, and I didn't know where it was gonna lead. But I when I first played it when it came out, I just absolutely loved it, and I still do. And I get that a lot of people would be annoyed when they got to the end and found there is no big mystery that needed solving. But because that's not the story, the story is more of the
relationship between you and Delilah.
Yeah, and how you felt along the way.
It's not
Like,
about. It's not about the
your
ending. It's the friends you
anticipation of
made
a sudden
along the
horror.
way.
Like, that is your experience of Firewatch. That is why it's unique to you.
I don't know.
You know
Yeah,
what
but
I mean?
I don't. But if you're gonna be sure you play it in the same way, other than collecting the
So
extra
Tony, you
notes and
said
things.
you watched someone play this and you saw there was
Yeah, I've watched
there
it
was
from
a
start
plot
to
with
finish.
like
I'm
a
playing it.
secret laboratory sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's part of the when I say this literal B plot, because as you're going into the secret laboratory, you get stung by a bee, and it's a metaphor for how that's the B plot of Firewatch, and the actual story of Firewatch is the relationship between you and Delilah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I don't even remember what happened there. So
Basically, the story, the big emotional twist of Firewatch is the fact that the son of one of the previous camp rangers, it's never. I think it's like hinted that either it was an accident or he was like killed by his father. But basically, you find his body in a cave, and that's the big emotional twist of Firewatch.
yeah.
What do you think, Dave, went on in that cave?
I think it was an accident.
I think it was.
He says it's an accident. He's got no reason to like lie, and he wouldn't have left society completely if it wasn't an accident, even though that's the sort of person he was.
Yeah.
But I do feel quite sorry for him.
I think
as a fictional character.
From going in completely blind to this game, when you do like find that body, it was quite like a big emotional moment. Like, holy shit! Like, there's just I feel like I'm going insane, and then you just find out there's like this dead kid like in the. It's not like played up at all. It's just like you find the dead kid, and the entire time the game's trained you to take photos. Because you have a camera on you, and that's a big thing of the game. And like I think Delilah says on the radio, you should take a photo of the body just for insurances. So when you like finish the game, you just have all these shots of like this beautiful wilderness, and then you just have a picture of a dead kid, and it's just like the juxtaposition between the two of like beautiful wilderness, the idea of like loneliness, and like the whole story of like Henry. Like in the beginning is how like his wife like mental health is deteriorating, and
she gets early onset Alzheimer's or
yeah,
dementia.
That's what it. And how like sometimes men are like wildernesses and they go to escape, and there's lots of like metaphors in Firewatch, and I think with Firewatch you'll get what you want from it. You can take what you put into it. Whatever you see from the game is what you will see. If you see a game where it's like, I thought there was going to be a bigger plot and I didn't get this bigger plot, I'm pissed off, that is what you'll get from Firewatch. I feel like a lot of people who play Firewatch might not enjoy their experience with Firewatch. But the thing is, I would say like, because I felt like I played the Outer Wilds, and I gotta say, I much enjoyed my experience more as a visual story-driven game compared to this one. But I will say, the game it's like 4 hours long. So even if you went into this and you found that you were kind of disappointed with the story and what you got from it, I don't feel like it's going to rob anyone of their time, sort of thing. Even though I personally didn't have this like amazing emotional reaction like Dave did, I still think it's worth it for most people to play Firewatch in a way.
Right. Okay, that's fair. I'm just saying, like, as someone who like watched it, like, I just feel like I can't see myself getting any more out of playing it. If that makes sense.
I think you may have robbed yourself.
Yeah, I feel like
yes, but right, that's fine. That's fine. But my point is, I don't feel like I've been robbed. I feel like I haven't robbed myself. That's kind of my point.
No,
like, I feel like I don't.
You may
really
not have liked the
care.
experience anyway. You might have been like lukewarm to it.
I don't feel like
Joe was.
I feel like if the parts of the Outer Wilds I've seen, I can kind of see like, I don't really want to play it, but I feel like I'm kind of robbing myself. So like that, I feel like I kind of I have robbed my experience from like watching Joe's content on it.
Yeah, I would say like from someone.
But this, I don't get it.
Someone who really enjoyed Firewatch, Dave. I would say like I feel like it's insane you haven't played the Outer Wilds. Like,
I will have to get it.
I cannot recommend that game enough to people. It is such a like, because you know, like you say, like you had like a strong reaction to this. I was emotionally moved a lot by the Outer Wilds. There were points where I would come away from the computer and I feel like I would just think about everything I'd seen, and I feel like I just want to cry at some point. Like, I'm just like, what the fuck is going on at this point in the game? Like, you're in this massive universe and you feel so small, and like everyone's gonna die, but they don't know they're going to die because they're stuck in a time loop, and it's just like, I don't know. Anyway, I wanted to carry the boombox for the entire game, but I wasn't allowed to. Once you get back to the watchtower sort of thing, the guy who trashes the place destroys the boombox, so unfortunately you can't carry the boombox for the entire game. You can't just press play.
Isn't it, surely that's someone else's property though, right?
This is the kids' boombox, they leave it. Like, they have like a lot of things where like,
okay.
hey,
well, you steal it, they don't leave it.
Yeah, well, they got scared off. Like, I think no matter what you do, the game tries to make you look like a creepy dude, because the way the game's trying to frame it in a way where you're not sure if you're like, what's going on? It's like, obviously, as you're walking through, you're like, what the hell is this? You find their underwear, and then you walk up to them in the lake and like, hey, what are you doing in the underwear? You're a creepy dude. And then they go missing, and it's like, well, now it looks like I did this, and the police are asking about where these like teenagers have gone missing and stuff, and it's like, it's an interesting experience to like, from the perspective, it puts you as a player in the perspective of somebody who is losing their mind in a way that's that you don't see in other games.
Or you feel like you're being like you're being framed for something you didn't do or something.
You feel like
perhaps
you kind of have like a unstable narrator sort of thing. You're not sure what's going on.
Yeah. I don't know. I just have no interest in. Don't know. I don't feel robbed. I don't feel like I want to really get back to this like, after watching someone.
I've read some stuff about Firewatch after playing it, because I was still like confused and was like, I'm not sure how I feel about this game. And I believe like the creators of the game were saying like, I'm surprised so many people said that Firewatch was a linear experience, when it must mean that the choices that you made are so subtle that people thought Firewatch was a linear game. Because there is very, very subtle differences based on how you talk to Delilah. Like, if you tell her about your wife and stuff, it changes how she talks to you on the phone. Yeah. Like, I don't know if Dave's experienced this, but in my playthrough, Delilah, I don't think she talks about her boyfriend at all. But if you don't tell her about your wife, I believe she talks about her boyfriend. Like, there is like slight changes between the characters. I don't know if Dave experienced this.
But I get, is that make it not linear though? Just like, 'cause, like, you can technically, like, you could have like an RPG, right, where like you do the same like dungeon, but like you can like have like different voice lines, and then they lock off voice lines as you go through. Like, does that make that game non-linear as well?
Well, when like it's a story-driven game, I feel like completely different lines of dialogue I would consider like a different part of the story.
That's fair, but that's a lot of people criticize Telltale games. Like, a lot of the stuff that you say doesn't actually matter, but it does change voice lines. Like, that has always been the case.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's no different in my opinion. If you're gonna criticize that and say that's like, oh, it doesn't really matter, then I feel like it doesn't matter here. I'm not saying it doesn't matter in terms of the story. Like, I personally think you're right. Like, I think changing what you hear and like how you hear it, I think is actually very important. But like, I do understand people who like way more mechanically based. Like, yeah, it doesn't really change the actual overarching story at all.
No, but as you were saying, the main story is your connection with
absolutely
its embodied voice on the radio. I would say a lot of the experience comes out of how you explore as well.
I'll be honest, Dave, I'll be honest with you.
They are your choices.
That's how I experience most RPGs, though. I don't really give a. I mean, I do care about the story as well, but I care way more about the actual characters and what choices I have with them, and what gets locked off for later.
Like I say, like people say, like Half-Life 2 is a linear game, but even that game has choices where, like, at the beginning of the game, the Combine tells you to pick up the can. And the entire
Oh,
time
yeah,
I played Half-Life 2, I thought the only way to beat that was to pick up the can, throw it at the Combine, get him to chase you, and then run past him. I didn't know until I watched someone else play the game, you can just pick up the can and put it in the bin. Like, I didn't know that was even an option.
Oh, I found
That's
an
cool.
option. I don't know where I saw this video, but someone uses that can to wedge the door.
That's
Combine
Desync.
can't.
Desync does a lot of, like... He abuses that can Combine a lot at like the start of his speedrunning videos.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Well, it's a very good choice, though. This makes a lot for the start of the game.
So
but
this is what I'm
it's
talking
Half-Life
about.
more than Firewatch. But yeah.
This is what I'm talking about, where it's like, is this a secret horror game? There's a guy watching me.
Yeah.
What the fuck's going on?
I
Like,
think
the first...
I would have gone way more out of this if this was a secret horror game. Like, I'd actually want to go back and play it again if it was a secret horror. Oh, I say again, I never fucking played it. If I'd watched someone playing like, oh, it's a secret horror game, I would have wanted to play it.
I feel
Well,
like
why isn't it a secret horror game?
it should be.
I think finding... Well, no, I think finding the dead child's pretty horrific.
Yeah, that is true.
It doesn't make it a horror game. Finding something horrific though, or something that like something that's like
something that horrifies you. I don't know.
Traumatic. I guess, but it's. I guess, but it's not really the same emotion from like what I
I don't
see
know. I feel like
personally.
me and Dave are gonna have to go away and play a different walking simulator and see what we fit. We're gonna have to play. What's that game? Dear Esther. Do you remember Dear Esther?
Yeah, I remember Dear
I
Esther.
don't remember Dear Esther.
It was like
It's I don't like that
It was
game.
like an early. It was like one of the first walking sims.
Yeah, it's from the
it's
company that
from
still
the
makes Walking Sims to this day. It's like one of their first.
Was it the Amnesia people who made Dear Esther?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't.
It's the other.
so.
I think it's the other people
No.
who helped with the Machine of Pigs. I think.
Yeah, the Chinese room, because they did like.
Yeah.
Didn't they help on the second Amnesia game?
Yeah.
But the idea was that it was a. I think it was like a Source game. It was like a Half-Life 2 mod sort of thing, made in like 2007. That was basically a Half-Life 2 mod that was just you walk around some countryside. I think it's in the UK even, and you just read poetry.
It's like an island, isn't it?
I don't know.
There's like notes and things you can like undiscover a mystery.
You walk around and you read poetry, and at the time, walking simulators weren't a thing, and people were like, "This isn't a game. I'm angry at this." You just walk around doing nothing. I don't understand this, and I feel like we've come a long way in this genre, and I feel like Firewatch...
I prefer this game to like Dear Esther for sure. Like I think this deserves to exist, but I still don't think. I don't want to like say something deserves to exist, but I just don't like Dear Esther at all. Like I just don't. I don't like it. I don't like a lot of walking simulators, but like. Yeah, I like the idea of like, combining a walking simulator to like then like a character like an RPG character on the other end of a walkie-talkie. But I do wish there was. I would prefer it as a horror game. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I like how like a lot of walking simulators, because of their atmosphere and like not knowing about like what's going on in them, they actually lend themselves to be horror games a lot.
Yeah, that's why I kind of like it. Like, you don't know if it's a horror game. I think that sort of tension is a good one, but I do wish it was actually a horror game.
Because it's like
I'm gonna go for the argument that Firewatch is a horror game.
Okay.
Well,
I would say it's a psychological suspense game.
This is what I was talking about. I was like, oh fuck.
You're going insane.
What was I gonna say? Because I think the developer of Subnautica said Subnautica is an accidental horror game, based on some of the things you see. I think The Outer Wilds is a cosmic horror game, where you have to face the terrifying stuff like black holes and stuff like that.
That's still more psychological, like a individual threat, I guess, that's like trying to kill you.
All right. So let's say I feel like I've given mixed opinions on Firewatch, so I'll just wrap it up by saying, would I recommend Firewatch? If you
you like what you've seen.
Yeah, if you've listened this far and you've listened to me spoil the entire game, and you're like, I think I might still want to play this.
Yeah, then it's definitely
yeah.
for you. I think if you're interested, it's for you. If not, it's not. I think that's what I'm going to assume.
If I've somehow remembered to put a spoiler timestamp in here, the game's not that long. So if this looks interesting to you, just try it. If you can, if it's cheap, it's on sale, just give it a go. That's what I would say. Dave, you
Yeah.
enjoyed the game, didn't you?
I love the game.
He loved the. Okay.
Love
Leaving
the game.
recommendation from
Still
Vietnam,
waiting
Dave.
for In the Valley of the Gods.
It's cancelled. Everyone's working on the new Half-Life game.
Yeah, no, I saw that it was put on hiatus, but I'm still waiting.
We're still waiting. Because the thing is, I would love a Firewatch VR game, which I think, given that Campo Santo Games is was put to work on Half-Life Alyx, they would have a. I feel like walking simulators are massively increased in quality when they're in VR because it just lends itself to
Yeah, it's built for that concept.
like the sense. That's one of the things about VR is the sense of scale is massive in that game. Anyway, let's talk about Star Trek for an hour.
Like last time.
I think I have to skip most of this because I just hit record and we were trying to get it to work. I was like struggling to get into it. I think
Seem to have broken your arms there.
That's like a third party thing. I think most of it I was doing the training. They have like a training area where you can do different roles.
Okay, so this is Star Trek Bridge Crew, right? Can I just say, when this game came out and I saw reviews of it, I was like, oh my god, this is like a game for VR. Like I really want to get a VR for. Like it actually looked really cool.
Well, I think the VR Spring Bundle might technically still be going if anyone has VR and they want to get the VR bundle. It is a good bundle.
Yeah, it's one of the
cool
games that makes me want to get VR as well.
Yeah. Well, there's quite a few games now, actually, but yeah, in the day, like this was
As the time of recording, you have 5 days, but if this video comes out after the 28th of April, it's already gone, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it gone.
You had your time in the sun. But basically, like for the Humble Bundle anyway, it was like I wanted to play Star Trek Bridge Crew, and it made sense to buy the entire bundle just to get Star Trek Bridge Crew at that point, at that price.
It's pretty cheap, right?
So I got the bundle. That's
yeah.
So basically, every role has a tutorial, and basically, I was like, I'm gonna be the captain because I was like, I like the idea of like sitting in the chair and going engage like I'm Picard.
Engage.
So
shields up.
One of the big complaints when Bridge Crew came out was that it wasn't set in any of like the major TV show universes. I think it was more in the what is it? Was it? I think it's Kelvin.
Kelvin. Yeah, it's Kelvin.
The J.J. Abrams movie timeline.
Yeah.
But there is a DLC for it that adds basically the next generation.
Oh, nice! I didn't even realize that.
Yep.
Does the base game come with the original series stuff?
No,
is that DLC
I think
as well?
that's DLC as well.
Alright.
Let me look it up because I have the power of the internet and I can tell you.
Yeah.
I've never been interested in the original series. Are you a fan of the original series, Dave?
I don't obsess over it like I do with TNG or.
Have you tried to have you ever tried to
DS9.
watch one though?
I've watched it all.
You have actually watched it all? I just couldn't get into it.
I haven't watched the animated series though.
Right.
From CBS.
It's a very different Federation to the one we used.
It's a very different.
I think it's it's not.
It's
just
hard
that,
to go back to.
Yeah.
Like if you were born in the 50s and you had that and then saw the.
Oh yeah! Oh my god! Yeah.
You can't get the original series, but you can get the next generation.
Okay.
And
I mean, isn't the Kelvin timeline based the original series?
Original series in Bridge Crew.
Yeah, it's the Kelvin timeline, though.
Yeah.
That's
it's not the original.
This is in the game or by default.
It's the original series, J.J. Abrams version. But yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah, so like I was talking about it with my brother because I was talking to him about VR the other day. We're the VR bros back in the day. Remember in like 2016 when me and Daniel would talk about VR for like 2 hours on the plane?
And Overwatch, yeah.
Yeah, the two best games really.
It's-
As we just talked about Overwatch, Tony.
Yeah, it's just like back in the day. Overwatch and VR.
But I was saying to him like, I was telling him I played Star Trek Bridge Crew, and he was saying, "Oh, I was talking to my friend, and I said, oh, it'd be really cool if we could play Star Trek Bridge Crew." And I said to him, "Well, it's in the bundle. You should get it." And he was like, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna get that." And I was like, "Oh, one thing to point out is you need to get the DLC if you want to play the next generation." He was like, "I'm gonna buy the DLC as soon as I get it because you know you need the next generation crew."
Yeah, you need the next generation.
I played Calvin because the fucking DLC is like £9, and the thing about Star Trek Bridge Crew is it never.
I don't mind
sale.
Kelvin in this game, like the actual look of like the set and things, like it looks, or like the actual bridge. It actually looks fine.
But I'm going to the training to do Captain. One thing I will tell you about Captain is you don't get to do a lot if you have non-AI teammates.
Your management mode, right? That's how you're like.
Well, I think that goes true for every position there. Like, you're not actually doing a whole lot.
The thing I will say is the captain is the most important role, but also the one with the least to do sometimes. And it'll depend if you play with AI teammates or if you play with real life people. I was playing with 2 other people. 2 friends, and then I was also we queued up. We had a public lobby, so we just got someone else to join. And every lobby I went into, they said, "Oh my god, there's more than 2 people in a Star Trek Bridge Crew lobby." Because I feel like the thing about this game is like the online multiplayer is like people say Star Trek Bridge Crew is a very good game. But the online, if you're going in and trying to play it by yourself and expecting to get matched with other people, there's not many people on matchmaking, if that's your thing.
Right. People are playing with friends, probably.
So if you're going to go into this, try and find some other friends who have VR. I know it's a niche thing. Or get used to playing with AI. And the reason I bring in AI is because when we were playing, like, sometimes our random teammate would just disconnect. And that's the role of the captain becomes more important and interesting because when an AI takes over and you need them to do a specific thing, you basically take direct control of that AI as the captain. And that's why I say, like, as the captain, you kind of need to know how to do everything on the ship. If you have, like, the thing when you have AI, which is where it can be the most important. But if you have a full crew and they all know what they're doing, then the captain doesn't have a lot to do. Which I guess just goes to show, like, how good management works. If when you're doing things right, you shouldn't be sure you're doing anything at all.
Yeah, that's how I feel all the time. Yeah, that's true.
Skip ahead to this is us just like sitting around in the lobby trying to get Andy in. Me and Matt were like,
"That Thunderbird 2 out there? What's going on?"
It's Thunderbird 2. Yeah.
That Thunderbird. I'm not. It's not just me saying that, right?
Apparently, I could have played this with you. Apparently, the devs modded it so it can be played in non-VR, but I don't know what's the point of doing that. And I'm looking on the wiki now, and you can play as the original series Enterprise with all the crappy buttons from the 60s. It's a skin for it, like they've got the TNG one.
It's not DLC on Steam, though. Is it included in the base game, or do you have to buy it through the game?
It must be original Enterprise. It's not. It looks like it's included in the game. You just need to select that option.
It's grayed out, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's because... I don't know how you get to that.
Because it's like grayed out, because you could only be the Aegis, or the Aegis, so you know, that's the ship, that's like the Kelvin ship. Because I wanted to go Next Generation, but I couldn't select it because I didn't have the DLC, and I didn't know how to do the original Enterprise either. So yeah.
Maybe... Is it like a
somebody who's played more Star Trek Bridge Crew will probably know more than me.
Yeah. I didn't realize the Kelvin the cells are like Thunderbird 2 though.
So we were doing like the tutorial mission, and as basically you go around and there's like you learn about like as I've been watching more Next Generation, it makes more sense like what warp and impulse power is, because that's something you go through while you're playing. It's like warp's traveling very fast, and then impulse is just like boosting along on the ship sort of thing.
Yeah. Impulse is like inside a solar system. Warp is like in between star systems.
But it was like it's fun to role play. Like I'm like and he's like I've lined us up, and I'm like engage, and then we just start going. Matt was going crazy the whole time. He was,
I feel like you would have had more fun if you were playing with like some proper Star Trek nerds rather than Matt and Andy.
Well, the thing you'll match into is the people playing this game are probably people who've watched every episode of Star Trek, and the entire time my friend Matt over there, he's on weapons, and he is.
He did random guy did make the comparison to Matt being
a bit of a
like
Worf.
I did.
And I said, yeah, he is a bit of a Worf. He does want to just go the aggressive option straight away. We should attack them before they attack us.
Season 1 Worf.
I would be very interested to watch you play more of this.
Yeah, I want to play more of this. I just gotta.
Dave, just get a VR headset.
Yeah, just get a VR headset.
Just get a VR headset.
I can't believe the one time Tony wasn't around, we were playing Star Trek VR. The one time.
Yeah, I know.
But basically, you do this. This is the training mission, and then you go on to do this, and then Dave rightly realised I was playing the Kobayashi Maru, the famous training mission. From
went wrong.
Is it introduced in one of the original series films? The Kobayashi Maru? I
think is it Star Trek 2?
Yeah, I thought it was Star Trek 2.
See, because I didn't know about the Kobayashi Maru like at all, so I wasn't sure it was because I understood what the neutral zone was. I understood that attacking a vessel in the neutral zone would force the Federation into a war potentially. And violate.
Well, I was screaming all of this down the headset at you.
No, I understood this from my knowledge from Star Trek. But the thing, basically, if you don't know, the Kobayashi Maru is a test that every Starfleet
no-win scenario. Every Starfleet adept
officer, bridge officer
has to go through this, and the idea is that a ship is being attacked in the neutral zone. It's by Klingon ships, I believe.
Yes.
And if you fire on the Klingon ships in the neutral zone, you will violate the Klingon peace treaty, which is the big peace treaty that the Federation has made with them to stop a massive war that was going on. That was talked down by Reva and his chorus. If you've seen season 2 of The Next Generation, where there's that deaf guy who uses a chorus of 3 people to talk. And as Worf points out, there was no word for peace in Klingon until Reva came along and got this peace treaty deal with the Klingons. But that's the Next Generation timeline. I guess we're in the Kelvin universe. I don't know what the fuck happened in this universe.
Still at war with Klingons, right?
I don't know. But yeah. So the scenario it puts you in is Klingon vessels are attacking a broken down ship of 300 people on the ship. What do you do? So your obvious options are attack the Klingon ships and then save the people. Part of the Kobayashi Maru is there's cloaked Klingon vessels everywhere and they just keep infinitely coming. So you can't beat the scenario through combat. You could run, but that would kind of violate Federation's guidelines of abandoning a ship to get destroyed.
Yeah.
So that's where the no-win situation comes in, where you either have to violate a peace treaty, or
it's like the least lost, right?
I tried to do a bit of both.
Yeah.
My experience was... I'll see if I can skip to it, because I think I have footage of it.
Put it up.
Basically, they get you to do a bunch of busy work, where you just go and like scan things. That's like core gameplay. There's like bombs. Let's see if I've got footage of it. Ooh. I don't know if I have footage of the Kobayashi Maru. Anyway, but basically what I did was I was like, oh, we need to save the Kobayashi Maru. Let's start teleporting people over. I think we got the thing you have to understand about teleporting people over is to teleport someone onto your ship, you need to lower your shields. But the problem is with the Kobayashi, which makes it a no-win, is if you lower your shields, you get attacked by the Klingons. So if you try and transport the people onto your ship, you get destroyed because you have to put your shields down, and you can only transport 6 at a time, and there's 300 people on the Kobayashi Maru. So that's what plays into it being a no-win situation. I think it's interesting, like, how I immediately was like, we can't violate the Klingon peace treaty. I immediately understood that, but then I was like, immediately like, it goes against the Federation's rules that we can't let a ship get destroyed. So I immediately tried to save them, and then we had to engage them in combat so we didn't get destroyed. And then my plan was, because it looked like one of the ships was trying to lure us away, and I was like, well, I know Klingon ships have cloaks, so if we get lured away, he could be a trap, just trying to lure us into more Klingon ships that were cloaked out of our range.
Yeah.
So I was
trying sense.
I tried to mitigate losses. What ended up happening was I saved 6 people on quotation marks, and then we got blown up, and then that was the end.
So you didn't save anyone.
It's a no-win situation.
Yeah, you're trying to find the least bad result.
Yeah.
Dying, I think, is not the point.
Dying and starting a war is definitely not the point.
Can I just point out the baseline you should be going with? What happens if I do nothing? You did worse than doing nothing because you lost 2 ships.
It's the taken part that counts.
Right.
After I
finished
finished the Kobayashi Maru, the guy on the comm said, "That was an excellent work, Captain. You are now fully fledged to fly under the."
It's the Canadian part that counts anyway. So
he said that was the best Kobayashi Maru simulation I've ever seen, and he handed me a medal and a crisp 5 space dollars, dilithium crystals, and that was the end of it.
Right, space money.
I like how, like, in the Next Generation, they gamble, but I'm like, but they have no currency, so gambling must mean nothing.
They're playing for fun, aren't they?
Yeah, but the thing I find with poker is, I don't like gambling for real money, but then when I gamble with chips, the chips mean nothing to me, so I go all in, and then I immediately lose, and then I can't play poker anymore.
Right, but some people want to keep playing poker for longer, so it does mean something to keep on playing.
I guess. I just find it, like, strange when, like, currency comes into the next.
I find I would never want to play it with real currency. I would only want to play it with chips.
You're a bit of a gambler, aren't you, Wave?
Yeah, and I'm just thinking when you get to DS9, the whole currency and Starfleet not having anything gets really weird.
Yeah. I don't understand how they walk into Quark's bar. I really don't get that one.
Yeah.
Like, what are they ordering? How? No, Quark must just like go to like the Federation government and go, well, your troops are like in my bar, so you're gonna get paid this much. And they're like, yeah, sure. Like that must be how that works, right?
But surely he must pay something to have his bar there now that it's Federation property.
No. There's an episode where it's like he doesn't pay rent. The Federation doesn't charge for repairs. They don't charge for anything.
How does economy work in?
To be fair, they are in a post scarcity. They don't need like a lot of like they've got enough resources to survive. Like it's all about thriving at this point. So
I thought like
that's kind of like one thing to remember.
The big thing that everybody wanted was like the dilithium crystals were like
Yeah, dilithium crystals are kind of rare, and there's a limited number of them, and they are required for creating a warp bubble.
Mm.
It's like a catalyst for the warp. I don't know, like warp injection. Like they inject antimatter. I know that much. I don't really understand like how it creates the warp bubble though. So I have to ask a true Trek fan.
Yeah, call up Mike. Call up Rich Evans from.
Yeah, he probably knows. Scientist, man.
Yeah, I've played a bit of Star Trek Big Crew. It's very fun. It's very fun if you're a Star Trek fan. I don't know.
I still want to play this.
Because I don't know how, like, I feel like Matt was having fun, I feel like Andy was having, but they're not really Star Trek fans, so maybe they were just enjoying being on a spaceship in VR. Like, I feel like even if you're not a Star Trek fan, you can get something out of this sort of thing.
Yeah, I guess, Dave, if VR was cheap enough, you would get it and, like, play this game, right?
I would.
Because I really want to play this game still.
It's a great game, from what I've played so far. But it's definitely...
I would like to do the Kobayashi Maru my way and see what happens.
That'd be fun.
I want to know how much is put into the game.
Yeah, what options do we have?
Options?
Yeah, for sure.
Because the way I told Joe to beat the Kobayashi Maru was to fire on the ship you were meant to get. I want to know what happens if you blow up your own ship. You're going to confuse the hell out of the Klingons. You're going to avoid starting a war because you don't need to enter the neutral zone to.
Well, the real question I have, Dave, what would Cisco do? That's what I would like to know.
He would probably beam aboard one of the D7 cruisers and start.
I hope we can get some DLC to play as Captain Rios in the next Bridge Crew update.
That's what we want.
Okay.
Anyone excited for Picard Season 2?
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait. I'm going to be drunk.
The last time I talked to you, Tony, you said you were going to refuse to watch Picard Season 2 unless I watched it with you.
Yeah, I think we were going to watch it together.
Yeah, I'm not watching it by myself.
Okay, well.
Alright, so in that case, I'm looking forward to it a lot.
Yeah. And I can't wait until one of my favourite characters from the Next Generation, Geordie LaForge. Hopefully he will be...
I can't see more 7 of 9.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah.
Guy
coming back.
Be there. Yeah. She went back to the Nexus for a bit, and now she's back.
I want to say, like, I know that this is not going to be written well. Now we're talking about Picard, but I would like to know what Guy would say, like, about 7 of 9. Like, I would be kind of interested about that sort of reaction if it was like still TNG was still about. But obviously they're not going to write a good scene for that. So
obviously Picard's going to be trash, but it'd be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be entertaining trash.
Yeah.
Not by myself.
It's characters I care about. It's not some woman called Michael, and there's like a bunch of Klingons
Michael Burnham
that don't look like Klingons, and I'm really confused.
Yeah, the rubber Klingons.
Yeah, and Michael Burnham's basically Worf at the beginning of Discovery.
Yeah, then she's Spock though. So
yeah, it's a bit... I've watched 4 episodes of Discovery, and I just don't want to watch it.
I really like Saru, but I don't know. Maybe I'm fanboying over Saru.
It's new track, guys. It's the best track. New track. USA.
I only watch Kelvin and Discovery. It's the best series.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything about Star Trek they want to say before we end?
No, I think I'm done.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
All right. Tangerine, goodbye.
Bye.